My title within the company is manager. What that is I manage a project management team within CMA. So we're responsible for making sure that all of the information briefed in from the LEGO Life team into CMA is created on time and on budget. That includes the LEGO Life magazine, the digital content for the app, as well as all the marketing pieces.
Currently, I'm the senior social media engager on the social media team. I help support the minifigures line, so I'm going to be posting when a new series is launching, or we might celebrate National Hot Dog Day because we have a hot dog vendor minifigure, and so I'll be facilitating posting that content, coming up with fun copy.
My official job title is the Level 2 Support Team Leader. I am responsible for a group of 13 Level 2 support specialists. I attend many meetings with our global colleagues. I also am responsible for coaching and developing my staff.
I am a local buyer for the procurement department. I make any purchase orders for any of my stakeholders, as well as work with any vendors, rationalization, PO compliance.
I am an assistant marketing manager for affiliate marketing and social media. When we drive traffic to our website, third-party websites have the opportunity to earn a commission on those sales. So I manage that program. And then I also manage the social media strategy really for D2C.
So I actually started my journey right out of high school at Western New England College, which is now Western New England University, where I was major in accounting. I then moved over to Holyoke Community College for a little bit, but I actually completed my degree at Bay Path College, which was a Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration with a focus in leadership.
I started at Asnuntuck and I got my associate's degree there. I then transferred over to Western New England for business office technology.
I attended Westfield State University in Massachusetts, where I live. I was a major in psychology with a focus on child development. Working here in customer service was my after-school job, and I loved it so much that when I finished my bachelor's degree in psychology, I made the choice to focus on a career here at the LEGO Group.
I went to UConn and I went to school for journalism there. After college, I was not super sure of what I wanted to do. I was looking for companies more than I was looking for specific positions. I knew that, we had a really good world-class company up at LEGO, and I did want to get my foot in the door with consumer services.
My education was at the Art Institute of Boston, and I have Bachelor of Fine Arts in Graphic Design. And I spent a good many years in Boston, working in publishing primarily. I stayed at home with my kids for about 7 years, and then decided it was time to go back into the workforce, and was lucky enough to find that LEGO was hiring in consumer services. So I took that role part-time to get my kids on and off the bus. It was probably one of the best decisions that I had made, even though it didn't align with my background necessarily. It gave me a foot in the door to learn the company a little bit better.
I started in the contact center back in 2010, and then I moved to the LEGO supply chain. Basically what I did there was I ran the day-to-day operations of our LEGO warehouse in Dallas. And just last year I moved over to the procurement department, which is a very different role. But my thought process was I like to be a jack of all trades and learn more of an end-to-end process.
I started as a consumer service advisor. Then there was a position that doesn't exist anymore. It was a product specialist. After that, I did really just day-to-day moderation on Twitter. Then I was looking around in, really other areas of the company, and I had gone for a couple jobs, but this job came up and it was honestly the perfect fit.
I spent 4 years in customer service. I was an advisor on the phone. I was a product specialist. After that, I was a team leader to the Rock Monsters. And then I moved to what was the children's community team. So I oversaw the message boards and worked on the galleries for about 4 years. And then that team was actually closed and incorporated into the social media team about 1 to 2 years ago. And so then that's when I became part of the social media team.
I started out in consumer services as a temporary advisor. I did that for about 2 years, remaining temporary, year-round, but still temporary. And then I was finally brought on as a permanent employee as an advisor. After maybe 6 months or a year, I became a senior advisor, and then after some time became a team leader. So my total span in consumer services was almost 4 years. I was trying to bridge the gap between my creative background and my LEGO love. So I moved over to CMA after a few attempts at interviewing to get into this department. Once I was here, I was hired in as an assistant project manager working with LBR. And then after some time, moved over to the LEGO Club group within CMA. and now I manage the project management team that runs the LEGO Life project within CMA.
I've been with LEGO for 5 years, and I started as a team leader in consumer services. I was the original team leader for the Monster Fighters. So I left consumer services for a little bit, for about 10 months, and I moved over to brand marketing, where I was a marketing assistant for our homegrown IPs. I came back to consumer services for about a year, and then I took a small 3-month time I spent in our consumer marketing agency as an assistant project manager, working all across brands. I'm now back in consumer services, continuing to support the Level 2 support team as their team leader.
Working on my IDP was absolutely essential, especially when I was an advisor. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know how I wanted to grow. I didn't know where I wanted to grow. Working on your IDP lets you put that in small buckets. So I don't know exactly where I want to go, but I want to grow in this particular way. I want to learn more about our LEGO brand retail store. I want to learn more about our systems, SAP. I want to grow in that. You find little ways to break that down into chunks, and then all of a sudden you start to grow this great core competency that can be moved into anything.
IDP is kind of like a shared language that works between all the different departments at LEGO. Anybody you're going to interview with knows that, an IDP is something that's important. If you go into a job interview or just a conversation with somebody around the company and you're able to kind of talk the talk about, what you're focusing on with your IDP, it really shows a lot of, that you have a plan and that you have a path.
I think that the IDP process is really important for each of us here at the LEGO Group, and I think that sometimes it can be something that we really undervalue. It's important to remember that not every company offers every employee that kind of opportunity to really sit down and have a dialogue with their manager about their personal goals. So I like to set different goals throughout the year and really be proactive with my manager in our one-to-ones about making sure we touch base on that.
IDP is a really interesting and vital part of our culture. I break down an IDP into sort of 3 sections, and you can think about it like a minifigure: the head, the torso, and the legs. The head is, what is your head telling you want to do? Where do you think you want to go? That's all about your thought process. The torso is your heart. What skills are you really good at? What energizes you? What makes you want to come to work every day? And the legs are, how do you actually make those things happen?
Until you write it down, it doesn't really become real. So I hear people say, I have IDPs, but it's in my head or it's in my notebook. But putting that into the system, into SAP, and actually having it there and having your leader will have the ability to look at it, and it starts a 2-way communication. My IDP has been very important for me, and that's actually how I ended up in brand marketing for 10 months. Remco, as my leader, knew that I wanted to get more experience in marketing. So when this position became available for a temporary maternity coverage, it was a very easy dialogue because it was something they'd already been talking about. My advice to advisors would be continue to learn. Even if you believe that the job you're doing isn't something that you want to do forever, there's always something new to learn. And I would also say take a risk. Sometimes we don't want to take a risk because it feels uncomfortable, but I can tell you, for me coming to the LEGO Group, it was a big risk and it was definitely worth it. And if you take a risk and it doesn't go as planned, at least you've learned something.
If I could give one piece of advice to anybody, it would be, know that the path may not be a straight line. If you go for a role and maybe you weren't successful in achieving that role, learn from it. How you handle it is so vitally important in how you're perceived by other people. So try to remain positive and look at any growth potential. Ask for feedback. Ask the hiring manager what things you could work on. Is it a soft skill? Is it a class you could take? Is it a functional area that you could improve upon? And really listen to the feedback that you get and take action. If it's important to you to grow those skills to be a contender the next time that role comes open, then listen to the feedback and try to action it.
It is very easy to become discouraged or start to feed off negativity from some of our more challenging consumers. The best advice I received was to leave that negativity at the door. The best thing you can do is come in and become a better team member, become a better employee, learn your role, master it. Once you master it, everything else will come.
I think the best advice I've ever really received has been just be proud that you work for this company. And I think it's it's something that, you can kind of lose sight of when you get caught up in the day-to-day.
The culture is unbeatable. The culture of saying hi to people in the hallway. You know that you're doing this all for children and builders, so that is just an unbeatable experience that you really can't find anywhere else.
I really believe in the morals of the company and the mission of the company. And for me, that's really important.
I've been fortunate to work at a lot of events, LEGO sponsored events and grand openings, and without fail, someone always comes over and tells you their LEGO story, and it reminds you why we're here.
We say it all the time, we're not working in insurance here. We're working with a really fun, amazing product that people are really passionate about.